Northport and W265CG Tuscaloosa. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. And you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick you, and I run him. Biggest mistake we ever made.
Martin Houston Show with Nash winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, you're live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial, the Martin Houston Show fan page on Facebook. It is a beautiful morning, and it is another day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, serve someone, love someone. You be the difference you want to see in the world today. Don't wait on someone else to do it. You be the one to do it. All right, we got a great show lined up for you today. Want to get right into that conversation. But before we do that, want to invite you to interact with this morning. 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. We'd love to hear from you this morning, so give us a call. The Taco Casa hotline, 205-342-9904. Taco Casa, quality, taste, value, under the biggest cactus in town. Doing it the right way for 40-plus years and counting. Getting better every day. That's Taco Casa. Check them out for lunch and or dinner. 6 locations in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama to better serve you, as well as one up in Birmingham off of Lakeshore Drive. Also, remember, if you want to tune in or if you tuned in on social media, you can interact with us there. Give us your thoughts, your comments, your topics, your chat will be brought into the program. Good morning to the guys already there. Chuck, Ellis, CJ, Elisa. We say good morning to you guys, and we say good morning to you, Mr. James Ludeman. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Martin. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, and good morning to all of you wonderful Facebook viewers this morning as well. I don't ever give a shout out to the Facebook crew on this side because I can't see them, but good morning, Facebook. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's a fun time. A lot of news happening around the Crimson Tide. Some good, some I guess so. But let's kind of look at that real quick. And then, of course, later on in the program, in the second half, kicking off the second half, we'll have our recruiting guru, Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting, will be joining us. And then we will end the program with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, presenting the Christian Moment of the Week, courtesy of Johnson and Marshall Dentistry. DentistTuscaloosa.com is where you can find them. So Johnson Marshall Dentistry will be presenting that. Normally that happens on Wednesday, but just due to timing and things, we felt like instead of rushing him, it would be better to bring him back on today. All right, let's just kind of look at the news. First of all, let's hit basketball because yesterday we alluded to it, but wasn't sure what was going on. But good news for the Crimson Tide is that they're still winning and they're still undefeated, and they will hold first place alone, solo, at least through this week, through Saturday, as they prepare to take on Arkansas Razorbacks. But not good news, James, in terms of what happened with two of their starters that may miss a little time. First of all, Jordan Bruner, the transfer was actually, to me, it was like he was a little slow getting started, but slowly was coming into his own and kind of being that weapon, especially in key moments of the Auburn game as well as the Kentucky game, that he made some key plays, key moments, but suffering a meniscus tear, had a procedure done yesterday by Dr. Kane, out and not out permanently for the rest of the season. How big a blow is this to the Crimson Tide?
I mean, look, anytime you lose a player like this, it is a big deal. So I don't want to underplay its significance at all, because I think it's huge. But the good thing is, and we talked about this, throughout the week, Alabama probably has the best depth that they've probably had in a long time,
if ever.
If ever. I was going to say ever, but I didn't want to overstep. But I agree, and I think it definitely helps. Now, the other news too, hearing about Herb Jones,
and
it not being as bad as they originally thought is great, and kind of offsets the bad news. But yeah, losing a player like Quinterly, man, is a big blow to this team for sure. But they got the depth to back it up. Yeah,
hopefully, Bruner is out. Quinterly hopefully will be back.
Bruner. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Quinterly will be back. Hopefully, from whatever I've not heard any specifics on exactly what's been going on with him, but
they're going to try to get him back this weekend for Arkansas. Yeah, so that's from what I'm hearing around. That's the news right now, but nothing's been made official.
Yeah, and Herb Jones, like you said, I told you, when it happened, man, I stopped my television. I zoomed in as good as I could and paused it and I said, that doesn't look like a wrist. That looked like a cricket finger to me. And of course, it ended up being a broken finger. Not good news, but not as bad a news as we had originally thought, in terms of they were reporting that it was a left wrist injury. And of course, we know he broke a wrist last year. And we're thinking, oh, man, not right now. Don't do this to the Crimson. So good news, bad news. Bruner is out indefinitely, but not permanently. He still has a chance to come back. Then also Herb Jones out, but with the broken finger versus a broken wrist. And we know he helped us win a game last year, James, with the broken wrist. So he may be able to contribute even with that broken finger in some way. So we'll see and play that by ear as well. Other good news, man. Coach Nick Saban. Somebody was finally listening. They gave. Let me rephrase and change my own wording. Nick Saban finally got an award that he has deserved and done well enough to win on numerous occasions while here at the Capstone. But finally, James got an opportunity to actually put that on his mantle. Only fitting that he wins the Coach Bear Bryant Award in the year he passes Coach Bryant. I know you did an article on that. Talk a little bit about how special an award this is and the significance of Nick Saban being named the Coach Bear Bryant Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that, in awards sometimes that you never know which direction it's going to go. But I thought this was a no-brainer. First of all, it's called the Paul Bear Bryant Award. And for Nick Saban to pass Bear Bryant for national championships in college, it first of all should have just been a no-brainer. But secondly, the way that he took this team, and I know I wrote another article yesterday as well about Alabama. And I think that there is some of that. But for a guy to take a team, first of all, to an undefeated record in the SEC conference schedule only this year, in the midst of a global pandemic, which nobody has dealt with ever, and then for them to just dominate every team that they played. There was only one team this year that kept it close, and that was Florida. And every other team they beat by at least 10 points or more. So for him to take this team to that level and to do what he did this season, again, to me, Martin, it's just a no-brainer to give this guy the award. But he also is he's only the second coach to win it multiple times. The other coach, Dabo Sweeney, has won it 3 times. So that's pretty cool. But man, there's nobody more deserving, in my opinion, of this award than Nick Saban for what he does, not just on the field, but in this community with Nick's Kids Foundation. I think that's fantastic. So good on the American Heart Association who runs that award, and they made the right decision.
Yeah, you just said something that still is mind-boggling to me. Coach Saban won it in 2000. First of all, before I forget, hey, listen, if you're listening right now and you want to read this article or any of the other great articles that we reference sometimes on this show, you can always go to tide109.com, see some absolutely awesome content that doesn't always get brought completely into the show, but maybe referenced. And when you look at this article, that's where you can find it, Tide 109. But just think about Nick Saban won this award. You said only the second coach to win it a second time. He won it in 2003 at LSU. And then think about what he's done here. And the fact that he's not, there shouldn't be virtually maybe 1 or 2 seasons where he didn't get Coach of the Year of some sort. But especially the Coach Paul Bear Bryant Award. And I'm not knocking Dabo winning it the 3 years, but what did Dabo do in those 3 years that Nick Saban didn't do in the off years? And that's, to me, what makes no sense. And of course it was a no-brainer. You know how bad it would have looked on the American Heart Association if they had not given Nick Saban this award. Your article of Bama fatigue would have had to have 2.0. Sorry, I said it may be a little bit of that. I need to update and say there's a whole lot of it. But fortunately, they came through, James, and did what they were supposed to do, I think, with this award. No doubt, Nick Saban deserves this award. Curtis Moore II that we want to get to. Let's bring him in immediately coming out of the break in the second quarter. And then we'll also talk about, Alabama getting some good news. We may have 1 or 2 people leaving that was kind of expected, but we also have some good news about guys coming back as well. And we'll talk about that conversation in the second quarter. Hey, go ahead and get yourself ready to be a part of it. 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
The Townsend Nissan Traffic Center no wrecks as we start a Thursday morning. I am getting reports of icing on bridges just to our north, so please drive carefully. And if you see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. If you want a tremendous deal on a brand new car, you need to head to your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. I'm Captain Ray.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use in 15 minutes a day. Way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Language for life. Start the new year with a new language. Get up to 60% off now at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Fear, guilt, indecision. These raw feelings are common when users witness an opioid overdose. Fear and indecision may race through your mind, but it's vital that you call for help. Alabama's Good Samaritan law protects those who act in good faith in situations like an opioid overdose.
Townsend Honda certified Fords, Nissans, and more. Welcome to Townsend Honda, located on Skyline Boulevard, Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A nice warm up today. The sky partly to mostly sunny, the high 58. For tonight, becoming mostly cloudy, the low at 35. Colder tomorrow and Saturday. The sky partially sunny both days. Highs between 47 and 50 degrees. I'm James Spann of the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning.
All right, you're back on live in 3, 2, 1.
You're back in with the Martin Houston Show. Man, what an awesome day. So much information to get to. And we'll get right to that. Let's go ahead and get Curtis Moore, the second, into the program, and then we'll get back on some of this good news around the Crimson Tide program. Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, Curtis. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, man? Team and everyone. Hey, I got a couple of random questions to ask. I know they're random.
Go ahead.
Hey, for the championship, do assistants get rings? What I'm talking about is like the analyst, and
if it's still
like Charlie Strong and Bush Jones and all them, do they qualify for rings?
Unless something has changed, Curtis. Unless something has changed, everybody in the program got rings when we won it. Even the only person that I know that I think felt like deserved the ring was my wife. She may be the only one that didn't get one in 92. They actually even, I don't know if they still do this, but like when we won it in 92, the women got like the top of the 92 ring as a pendant necklace. And, like all the other support people from my past have gotten rings, so I would assume that all of the analysts do as well.
That's a good thing. That's something I know it's a random question. But
that's Hey, remember what the.
Okay.
No, I was going to say, remember the name of the show, Martin Houston Show, the Sound of Bama Sports. Your show, your team. You can bring up your topic you want. We may not be able to talk about it, but you can bring it up. Go ahead, man.
I know, right? Hey, on another note, Keelan Robinson. I was going to ask the same thing about him too. When these people opt out and stuff like that, he's still on the roster. Will he qualify for it too or not?
If he opted out and did not leave, the opt out was an option that these players could take, but they were still part of the program. They were not supposed to be punished in any way, is what was said, right, James? But the question is how, whether that pans out to be you get a ring or not, I don't know. But they're not supposed to be punished for having opted out.
Yeah, and that's the words on my mouth, because that's what he did say at first.
It's kind of Martin. I don't think you may not agree with this, to be honest with you, but I think if people opt out, like if it's not like a legitimate health concern that they opted out, and they just opted out because whatever, I don't know if they should get one. I know I'm being kind of cold, but
I wouldn't say that. I would say that they may not get a ring if they enter the portal or they opt out. But I wouldn't have a problem with that if they had nothing to do with the season. If they weren't working out, if they weren't practicing, practicing if they weren't like all the walk-ons of every part of the program got a ring if they were a part of the program. Just because you're on the roster doesn't mean you're part of the program in an opt-out season, in my opinion, James. So we're not as far off as you think. You got anything else for us, Curtis?
Just one more quick one. And it came to my head because what you were mentioning earlier about the basketball thing. You know how we have the medical staff like Jeff Allen and all that for football? Do they help out with basketball too or not?
I think he has his own set of direct, medical staff, but I know that they have some overlap as far as helping each other. But I think they have their own strength and conditioning coach, even though it used to all fall under, the strength and conditioning coach for Alabama. But they had specific guys that did it. And I know Nate brought in his own, strength and conditioning coach. So, the trainers and stuff like that, I think are basketball specific, but they have some overlap.
I know a lot of the guys and girls, for that matter, who work for Alabama. A lot of them are students, because who are getting experience and things like that, except for like the main strength and conditioning coaches and things like that. But I think Alabama has different, for every sport, they have different strength and conditioning coaches that work specifically. But I know a lot of who works there are students who are studying, physical science and things like that.
Now, the reason why I asked is because, Jeff, I was wondering if Jeff Allen can kind of work some magic on Bruner.
I'm sure he will be consulted. He'll be consulted.
Hey, well, that's all I got.
All right. Well, thanks, Curtis. Call back anytime, man. Love getting your interaction and hearing from you.
Hey, likewise. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. All right, Curtis calling in from Florida, but local Alabama native. So regular part of the program on Facebook, but calling in this morning. Hey, listen, good news. Some good news happening around the league in terms of what's happening in terms of transfer portals and et cetera. Curtis Lewis saying opt-outs don't get a ring. And I have zero issue with that. To me, you don't lose your scholarship, but you also don't get the benefit of what the team does when you made a choice not to. And I'm being, people had legit reasons, James, to opt out, whatever the reasons were. That's up to them. But they keep their scholarship and they should not be punished, but they also shouldn't be rewarded. And that's my thought on that, even though you thought I may think a little.
Well, I mean, I don't think you thought differently. I just think, I don't know. Just to me, I know there are some who may not necessarily agree with that, but I actually said that in the beginning when all of this started. I said, well, if you opt out, don't opt back in when your team makes the playoffs.
Like Sean Wade did?
What?
Like Sean Wade? Didn't Sean Wade with Ohio State opt in and out like multiple times?
I mean, if he did, okay. But again, I mean, I just don't. Again, if it's not a legitimate medical reason why you're opting out and you're just opting out because you don't feel playing, well, I'm sorry that I don't have respect for that.
Well, also, I don't know what's going to come out about Keelan Robinson. I knew he was opting out way before the season, but a lot of people thought he was opting out more so because of, potentially transferring and stuff like that than he was from COVID. But, he may decide to come back now, or he may go into a portal. Yesterday, we did get news that Eddie Smith is going to opt out, defensive back. And then, of course, Ishmael Sopsher and Kevin Harris, the second, has already opted out throughout during the season. And when I say opt out, I'm sorry, enter the transfer portal. Eddie Smith, Kevin Harris II, and Ishmael Sopsher, the only ones we know of so far. But that's the bad news. The good news is the confirmed and potential returners to the Alabama Crimson Tide team, Josh Jobe and Christian Harris coming back. How big a news is that, man? From the other side of the ball to get one of your starting corners back, and then to keep that pair of outside linebackers. How big a news is that for Pete Golding, if he's still here? Just throw that out there for you all to chew on for a minute. If he doesn't leave, how big a deal is it for him to have those guys back?
Oh, it's huge. I think it's absolutely huge, especially in a season where, all people seem to want to do was criticize Pete Golding.
Yeah.
So why, if Pete Golding leaves, which, I don't know how to feel about that. There's a part of me that's like, okay, cool. And I mean, it's like not really cool.
Well,
because college football has just changed so much as far as defense. There's only so much you can do. College football is an offensive game now.
That's very much so. But very much so. Yeah. One of the quick thing, and we need to get to, Craig Wooden said, great news, fire Pete Golding. Rumors are abounding that Pete Golding may be back here to Crimson Tide, but if he's not, it won't be because he's fired. It's because there's a couple places that may want to take him with them. So maybe a Texas or even back to his home state. And I'll just leave it at that until those rumors are either confirmed or burned. Real quick, Brian Robinson returning, absolute great news. I'm so excited for this young man to be coming back and playing on this offense. That is awesome. I think that is a Najee Harris type of decision in terms of what's happening in that sense. And then now this would be a game changer. I feel really good about our offense if this happens. Nothing confirmed, just innuendos and rumors. But I said I would like to see it when he first did it. If we go to get Landon Dickerson back, it's a game changer. It's a game changer. I don't know if he will or won't. I think he's going to find out what they're saying about him and his knee, and then I think he'll make a decision. But that's a potential returner, James, that changes everything in terms of our offense. We'll get deeper into some of these things, but we have a great guest coming up next to talk a little recruiting, and we'll talk to him about the impact of transfer portal potentially on this signing class. And that coming up next, we'll have Hank South 247 Sports Bama Online Recruiting to kick off the second half.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
The Townsend Nissan Traffic Center no wrecks as we start a Thursday morning. I am getting reports of icing on bridges far north, so please drive carefully. And if you see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. If you want a tremendous deal on a brand new car, you need to head to your hometown dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa. I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
That is going to do it. The clock is going to wind down. 10 seconds, 9, 8, 7. Players flooding the field here at Hard Rock Stadium. 2 seconds, 1. And that is it. The final score, Bama 52, Ohio State 24. Alabama does it. 10 regular season SEC wins. An SEC championship, a Rose Bowl championship, and national championship number 18. 13 in all. Absolute perfection.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. Talking about leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not,
Okay. Hank is on. And
to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
all right, we're back in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. It's now time for our weekly catch up with Hank South, 7 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Get on a great follow where you can find articles. Follow at Hank South 247. Good morning, Hank. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, man. Thanks so much for being with us again this morning. Let's get right into the conversation. What is the impact? We have at least 3 names right now that have entered the transfer portal. They technically haven't lost a scholarship, but could lose a scholarship. You can enter without. If, say, these 3 guys leave, Eddie Smith, Kevin Second, and Ishmael Sopsher, how does Nick Saban incorporate those scholarships into this recruiting class, or does he have to, do it for a future class? How does that work?
It basically, as I understand it, and I believe Kevin Harris is committed to Georgia Tech, and Ishmael Sopsher is committed to USC, if I'm not mistaken. But Eddie Smith entered yesterday, or said he was going to enter it yesterday. But it essentially just opens up space within the total number of scholarships available through that 85. So it wouldn't really necessarily impact, this class. I guess, whether, they push harder for a defensive lineman than they do with defensive back. Maybe that's what it impacts. But as far as overall numbers, it doesn't really change the fact that, you're working with 25 initial counters. Obviously, there's some back counting in there that you can work with, but it doesn't change kind of the overall number you can take.
Is this where he gets those gray shirt guys scholarships, guys who come in and they pay their way the first year pretty much, then the next year they go on scholarship? Is this how he uses them? Because once they're here and on the roster, then if you have space in the 85, they can be added back, correct?
Yeah, I think that's kind of what you see happen with that kind of thing when you have open availability. And I think sometimes, and forgive me because I'm not great with this rule or great at totally understanding it, it's kind of confusing, but I think sometimes it can work with transfers coming into as far as what it counts towards the total number of 85 rather than that initial 25. So I think there's a few kind of different ways you can work with it, but I think overall it doesn't really change how many you can take out of high school or the recruiting class you're signing. But yeah, I think, the guys that are on the roster, whether they're walk-on or just not, preferred walk-on, I think sometimes you see that kind of come into play in terms of them earning their scholarship.
Speaking of Hank South 247 Sports, but I have another question for you, Hank, before we get into conversation with Pat. And you may or may not know this because I don't think any of us clearly knows what's going to happen. But have you heard anything about the fact that they're giving all of these, hey, you can return, your scholarship didn't count last year waiver, but there's the 85 rule. Of course, that number has to be changed. Is that a 4-year decision, 5-year decision? How do we ever get back down to 85 if, say, 10 guys from Alabama that were seniors decide to come back?
Yeah, it's a good question. I haven't seen the NCAA come out with an official statement on how that's going to work with the overall scholarship count. But yeah, it opens the door to a lot of confusion. So we'll see. I mean, obviously they're going to have to. So I'm not sure if it's, you can have 100 or whatever for 1 year and then they go back to 85. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a weird situation to kind of see filter out. The NCAA hasn't come out that I've seen with an official word on, what the number will be or, how they're going to, how that's going to play out, the years beyond just 2021.
Yeah, because I look at it and go, okay, say 10 comes back from Alabama and 15 back from Auburn. Well, Auburn now has 100 scholarships and Alabama has 95, and then the next year, Alabama only has 5 that come back, but Auburn has, 15 of that next senior class that decides to come back. So they still at 100. And you could literally be at a situation where one team gets back down to 85 in a 2-3 year window, and the other team could still be sitting at 100 scholarships. I don't know how they're going to do it unless they just bump up the numbers. I mean, yeah, I think they're going to ultimately end up bumping up the numbers and figuring out how to reclass and all of that. I just don't know because somewhere a class is going to get screwed if they don't bump up the numbers. Hank, because you got freshmen coming in right now that's going to be playing with guys, legit 6-year guys, and it's all okay. It's not just 1 or 2; it's a whole roster of potential 6-year guys that's going to be on some. So, go ahead.
It seems like kind of a mess. It could play to team's advantage. It could play to Alabama's advantage with some of these guys looking to come back and either have a big impact or provide really good leadership. But yeah, beyond that, like you said, I mean, it could certainly kind of unbalance the scales a little bit with advantages to one team and disadvantages to the others.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let's get to Pat. Pat, you're in with Hank South 247 Sports, man.
Morton, I can't see how that could ever. It could go on 18 years.
It could only end, Pat, if they decide arbitrarily which class they're going to screw. I mean, that's so somewhere along the line. If they end it, they either going to bump up the scholarships or they're going to end it somewhere. I mean, that's right. And if they end it, one class is going to lose out somehow.
Okay. All right. Anyway, Hank, my question today is: have you been able to get a hold of JTT's camp and find out? Did the beatdown of Ohio State do anything to increase our chances of Alabama?
So we have not since the game ended. Brandon Huffman, who's our West Coast analyst out there that has a pretty close relationship with JT and his family. He's gotten him for several interviews in the last few months. He talked to him last Thursday, about a week ago, or maybe Wednesday. They talked about the game, kind of his thoughts on the programs. Obviously, he still has a top 5. I think he recognizes that everybody kind of just thinks it's Alabama versus Ohio State. So he was asked about that too, talked about that, what he sees in both teams, what he liked about the semifinal games. prior to the national championship, they asked him, or Brandon asked him, if he had a pick for Bama Ohio State. He said, I think it'll just be a good game. He obviously wasn't going to pick one winner, but he has not said anything about the game yet. So, we're working on that. I know Brandon's working on getting them for another interview this week at some point, or, in the next couple of days. So hopefully, we'll get some reaction from play to especially Barmore. I think, that was probably certainly state right now. Who knows who's actually going to go, but Ryan Day, NFL head coaching, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. One more quick question. Offensive line, Kyle Flood appears to be a communist and is
hold on, Pat. Hold on. Hold on, Pat. Pat, hold on. Why did you call Kyle Flood a communist?
As he's defecting.
Okay, go ahead with your question.
Hey, but my question is, Jordan Roberts appears to be on the hoof. Oh my Lord, this guy appears to be a mauler. He's Tarzan reincarnated. Hey, if he can't play Tarzan, then I've never seen anybody that looked like Tarzan. That man. I'm thinking he looks sense to me.
Well, I think, if you look at that and Kyle Flood was leaving Alabama for just a lateral move to go be the offensive line coach at Texas or anywhere else, I think, maybe a little bit of a head scratcher, but he has a title. He's going to be offensive coordinator at Texas, so he's leaving for a promotion, which obviously, then opens the door to, head coach opportunities, down the line. So I think, it makes sense as a promotion. He's going to go to another, kind of blue blood school, or used to be blue blood school.
They have one national title out there, only one.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to promotion. So you can't really fault him. And you look at this class, and people. You would think people would want to coach it, but it also makes sense. People want to take promotions and keep moving up in their career trajectory. So I think it makes sense. But
I guess he was going to get a raise here, too, no doubt.
Raise and promotion is two different things. A lot of these coaches, at the point the money they're making, they're really not in it, Pat, for the money per se. A lot of that position of authority and leadership and have more say. And Kyle Flood's a former head coach who's had a little taste, as Hank mentioned, of the NFL, but also of the college game. And think about what he's doing. He is a guy that has coached on the East Coast, SEC, and now he's Texas. So if he gets back into college coaching, he's going to have a pretty wide-reaching network of coaches to recruit from. And as Hank will tell you, recruiting and connection with high schools is the key to success. Thanks, Pat.
But he still just defected. The premier. He defected from America. He's going to Texas.
All right.
Everybody knows what Texas is down there. They're a bunch of blowhards.
All right, Pat. Have a good one, man.
We're gonna get us a real bad feeling about Texas. All right. Anyway,
thanks, Pat.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
All right, last question for Hank South 247 Sports Bama Online Recruiting. Hank, I don't know what to tell you, man. Just hang in there. But hey, kind of give us an update on what's next for Bama and how things are going now that we're in this kind of what used to be the traditional high tide for recruiting.
Yeah, nothing's really changed. I think, by the way of, the kind of last few targets, I think the guys to watch are, JT Tuimoloau, Terry and Arnold, and to an extent, I think Brian Thomas, he's still in the mix. Like, it's hard to see Brian Thomas picking Alabama with receivers class on board, but, we'll see. Crazier things have happened. So that's kind of where things stand with 2021 targets. Obviously, there's a lot of buzz about Bill O'Brien joining the staff. It's pretty much reported that it's done. It's just not been made official yet. Nick Saban even was quoted yesterday at an awards banquet, talking about how he thinks he'll do a good job with the players at Alabama. So kind of just, waiting on official announcements there, but it looks like he's going to be the next offensive coordinator. Does that change anything with the remaining guys Bama goes after? I don't think so, but, we'll see if there's guys they push forward that they haven't been at this point. Eric Gilbert still in the transfer portal, the LSU tight end transfer, one-time Big Bama target. So, maybe he's a name to watch. But as far as it goes with 2021, most of the things have been wrapped up. Those few guys that just mentioned, a guy still out there. Kamar Wheaton, to our knowledge, isn't signed yet. He committed to Alabama after the early signing period. From people we've talked to, there doesn't seem to be much concern about, him wavering or anything. I think he's pretty happy the recruiting process is behind him. So I anticipate he's set on signing with Bama on February 3rd. So that's kind of just where things stand right now. Bama, I don't think there's any realistic path for any team to overtake Bama for number one at this point. After adding Jaden Roberts and Kamar Wheaton, along with the guys they got on signing day with JoJo Earl and Keanu Coate, it's pretty much been wrapped up. So, right now, Bama's pretty good spot coming off a national title. There's 2022 guys, a lot of 2022 top recruits raving about Bama right now. We did a reaction piece on Monday night and Tuesday morning, just catching up with guys, getting their thoughts. And, there's a lot of excitement right now around Alabama. So there's a pretty good spot right now with 2021 and 2022. And, obviously, beyond that as well.
All right. That's Hank South 247 Sports. If you want to know what's going on and be in the know, follow at Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting, 247 Sports Recruiting Guru. Thanks, Hank. We'll catch up with you next week. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, man.
All right. Coming back on the other side, we'll have our weekly catch up with Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries. The Christian Moment of the Week presented by Johnson and Marshall Dentistry right here on the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no problems reported on the roadways around Tuscaloosa or Northport. Now, some areas are getting fog, others reporting icing, so please drive carefully this morning. And if you see conditions, just give me a call. Right now is the time to save at your hometown Nissan dealer, Townsend Nissan of Tuscaloosa, where you can save thousands and get top dollar on your trade. I'm Cap Bray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good morning. Patchy freezing fog again a concern, but visibility's down to a quarter mile in some spots from Tuscaloosa and Pickens County northward. Like yesterday, patchy ice on some roads could create hazardous driving conditions. First responders are on the scene of a possible shooting at River Road Apartments. That's on Northeast 8th Avenue. Neighbors tell us there may be one victim, but circumstances are not known. There'll be a free COVID-19 test at African Baptist Church downtown, 9:30 to 1:30 Saturday. There will be drive-through and walk-up service. I'm Don Hartley.
Come pick out your Townsend Honda certified vehicle at Townsend Honda. We have Hondas and we have Chevys, Fords, Nissans, and more. Welcome to Townsend Honda.
All right, buddy.
Hold on 1 second.
All right, we're back in 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back into the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9. It's now time for our weekly catch up with the Johnson and Marshall Dentistry Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins of Blueprint Ministries. Visit dentisttuscaloosa.com. That's dentisttuscaloosa.com. Johnson Marshall Dentistry, located at 601 Hargrove Road East in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Changing lives. Discover your smile right there at Johnson and Marshall Dentistry. Care for your smile, a healthy mouth, and a smile that'll last a lifetime. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Martin, I am doing fantastic, and how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for your flexibility in joining us today. Let's go ahead and get into the conversation as we do it each and every week, typically on Wednesday, but joining us on this special Thursday edition. Just take some time, man, and encourage us how to incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play.
Thank you so much, Martin. I'm so excited to share this morning because a message, a kind of thought has been just floating through my mind the last couple of days. Just after obviously being able to see our team win their 6th national championship since Coach Saban's been here and Coach Saban's 7th. I know I don't talk about that often, but I'm just so excited to just see those guys persevere through the face of so much adversity. Obviously, everyone has faced a lot of adversity this year, and so the question that kind of I've been pondering is, what does it take to stop you? Like, what does it take? Adversity is automatic. It's coming. You don't know when it's coming or how it's coming or how often or how long it'll stay, but you know it's coming. And so the question is, how do you handle it? And what does it take to stop you? So as I think of obviously this team, I think of a team who faced so much adversity. Again, as did every other team in this country, but at the same time, I look at how they responded and how they used it and the fruit of their response. And so it to me, it's kind of a metaphor for for the rest of us as we look at again the adversity that they were able to overcome. And so what comes to mind from the Bible is Paul in 2 Corinthians. I've shared this verse, this passage of scripture a couple of times over the years, but I want to share it again this morning because it's concentrated adversity. I'm talking 4 or 5 verses of nothing but the adversity that he went through. And I want you to really ponder the question, what does it take to stop you? Like, what does it take to make you, let's say, melt down or give up or quit on a relationship or just, I can't do this anymore? What does it take to stop you? And I want you to listen to Paul. 5 times he's talking about this is what he's going to receive, the 40 lashes minus 1. Again, many guys are aware of the movie Passion of the Christ. When Jesus was whooped towards the end before he went to the cross, that was the 40 lashes minus 1. Paul says he got that whooping on 5 different occasions. 3 times I was beaten with rods. So 3 additional times he was beaten with rods. Once he was pelted with stones, and they actually thought he was dead. That's the only reason they stopped stoning him. And then he was unconscious. He woke up and actually went back in the same town of people that had stoned him, which is crazy. 3 times he was shipwrecked. He spent a night and a day in the open sea. He says he's constantly on the move. He's been in danger from rivers, in danger from bandits, in danger from his fellow Jews, in danger from Gentiles, in danger in the city, in danger in the country, in danger at sea, in danger from false believers. He says he's labored and toiled and has often gone without sleep. Y'all know that's some serious adversity when you don't get when sleep depravity, right?
Right.
He says he's been hungry. Oh my goodness, hangry. He says he's been hungry and thirsty and has gone without food. He's been cold and naked. He says besides everything else, he faces the daily pressure of his concern for all the churches. Last verse, he says, who is weak and I don't feel it? Who is led in the sin and I don't inwardly burn? He says, man, I'm going through it. But one thing he also says, Martin, is I ain't quitting. I got a mission. My mission is to preach the gospel. My mission is to glorify God by being the best steward of my life that I can possibly be. And I think here's his secret, right? His secret of, we says, what does it take to stop you? Everybody's answer is different to that, but it doesn't have to stay the same. What does it take to stop you, for you to just, I'm done, I can't do it anymore? Or and for Paul, I think the answer was nothing will stop him, because no matter how big his adversity was, his view of God was so big. Really, let me say this: it was so accurate, because God is awesomely and tremendously big. If we see him as he really is, his view of God was so accurate that he couldn't help but keep fighting, keep persevering. And so, I want to tell you, no matter how big your circumstance is, your God is bigger than that. And he wants you to trust him. He wants you to look to him. He wants you to know him more through those times. He wants you to become more like him through those times. He wants you to make him more known by the way you handle those times, and even by encouraging those after you come out of those times in how God strengthened you. And so I'm going to stop there, Martin, just give you a chance to kind of throw something in. But I just, when I think of this team this year, I saw a team that decided, hey, we won't be stopped. We're going to respond. We got adversity, but we're going to, allow it to pull us closer together. And we got a mission. We're going to fulfill the mission. And that's everybody involved. So it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see this year.
It absolutely was. And what I would quickly add to that, Scotty, is I think about working out. I think about lifting weights. And the fact that your muscles actually tear, and then when you're getting stronger and bigger, that strain of tearing those muscles actually is what builds you and makes you stronger. And so that's kind of what you described there, is a lot of times people let adversity stop them instead of making them stronger, instead of equipping them for the next battle, and going from level to level to level. So adversity isn't meant to stop you as much as train you for what's in your future. And what I did to get stronger in the off season was what allowed you to see me on the football field later on those few Saturdays out of the year. So such a great point. And God allows us sometimes to go through some things, and we fight through some things in order to be stronger, and so we can glorify him.
That's it. That's awesome. And then the celebration is that much greater, because the triumph is that much greater because you went through so much. You get a chance to celebrate. Like, look at, it would have been, without certain pieces of adversity, it'd be, hey, cool to celebrate. But when you go through so much more and you come through on the other side, it's like, wow, look, like the Red Sea. Look at what he brought us through. Just think about this, Scotty, and that was such an on-time word, hopefully, for the people who are going through some things this year. But think about the freshmen who won the championship in 17, and now what they feel like. I promise you, they'll remember that, but they'll remember this one with a special fondness that may even exceed their previous title. I'm willing to bet that Coach Saban this one has a special place in his heart because of what they had to go through to get here. Man, thank you so much for that word. Hey, my pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Have a good one. Tell us real quick where they can find you, sir.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can leave me a message on my message board. It comes straight to my email. All
right. That's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, presented by Johnson & Marshall Dentistry, right here on the Martin Houston Show. For those of you who tune in on Thursdays, you got a special treat. Roll Tide and have a blessed day. We'll catch up with you next week, Scotty. Hey, remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so rejoice and be glad in it. But also remember this: you can trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide, and bless you, and catch you on the flip side.
We gonna celebrate your party with you. Come on now.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man.